Guardians rolled out their lineups at around 10:30. We already know the Browns messed with their lineup for the London game. They're going to go with the backup quarterback is now the starter, Dylan Gabriel. The Guardians, not sure who's going to be in their lineup today. We threw around some hypotheticals. Maybe Matt Underwood of Guardians TV can help us out. Appearing on the fan hotline, Matt, playoff baseball, but win or go home. Game number 2 already. It's amazing how quickly things can get amped up come playoff time, or you could be sitting at home watching everybody else. So, Matt, how you feeling? What's your gut feeling about today's game?
I guess, after hearing Stephen vote after the game, it kind of crystallized for me. I mean, the way this team has battled back all season long, especially over the last month, they've been in this kind of mode for a long time. So, it won't be for, a lack of preparation. It won't be because they're overwhelmed or they're pressing. I mean, sure, anybody can press at any given moment, but I think they're prepared. They're ready to go out and play Detroit and try to get a win. I mean, I don't think that this is a team that that's going to shrink in the moment. I mean, yesterday Skubal was really good. I thought there were a few at bats that it looked like guys didn't have a great plan. It was almost like just swing and hope, and that's never a good plan. But outside of that, Skubal was, 14 strikeouts. It's a pretty dominant performance, and you knew he was capable of that. So I think they've got to find a way to go out and scratch out some early runs against Casey Mize today. And to your point, I think we'll see a lot of the left-handed hitters in the starting lineup today.
Hi, Matt. Andy Baskin from 92.3 The Fan. Nice to meet you.
You guys know each other?
Baskin, ladies and gentlemen.
Long-time listener, long-time fan. Always appreciate your hard work that you've always put in throughout the years. Are you surprised that they're starting Mize today? Would you have started Mize, or would you have, or would you have switched them around? Would you have Flaherty? Because I don't know. After watching this team go up against Flaherty before, I thought that they struggled with him, and I was just kind of. If I was Detroit, would I have gone with Mize? What would you have done?
Andy, it's an interesting question from this standpoint. Because Skubal went so deep into the game, they only had to use Will Vest yesterday, and he's got a full complement of bullpen arms. Not that bullpen was very reliable down the stretch for Detroit, but he's got everybody at his disposal. I would assume that's the one reason that he pushed Flaherty back to Game 3 is that he pretty much was a 5 and fly pitcher this year. He, for whatever reason, whether it's stamina, whether he just wasn't effective going through the lineup a third time, he was not able to give them length. And so maybe that's why, he's going with Casey Mize. They didn't win either. That's the other crazy thing. When Jack Flaherty pitched, I think the Tigers won 9 of his starts, which is kind of hard to believe. You figure, but every year, there's a pitcher in the rotation that kind of either they score when he pitches, or there's a guy that they don't score when he pitches. And so I look, AJ knows his team better than anybody. That's pretty obvious. And Casey Mize is not going to be any walk in the park. They're going to have to go up and they're going to have a better plan, a better approach, and try to grind through at bats.
All right, so we're talking about the type of approach you're saying, the lefties. Yesterday was a lefty-righty thing against Skubal, and, it's a second-guessing game in baseball. When the stuff you trot out doesn't work, I would argue that was Pedro Martinez yesterday. I mean, we remember the lineups we threw against Pedro Martinez, and they couldn't get the ball out of the infield. Like
exactly.
That to me is how special Skubal was. And if you really look at the numbers, he's been special all along against us. We have just had these circus innings to try to score runs, and we almost did it again yesterday against the Met. That's the thing that was a killer. Yeah. And then once you got Skubal out of the game in the 9th inning, you're sitting there with a chance that I don't think any Detroit fan, if they're being honest, thought they would really win that game when he was sitting on third base with no outs.
You know that if you could have transported yourself to any Tigers fan living room yesterday, the minute that ball hits Jose and rolls down the right field line and he's standing on third base, they all wanted to throw up. Because they're like, I've seen this before. I know how this is going to end. And I think every Cleveland fan was probably thinking the same thing. It's like, okay, we got him now. I mean, they just literally gift wrapped us the tying run, and it didn't happen. I mean, that's why we play. It's the human element. It's the drama of the moment. Hard to fault Jose in that situation. He sees it. He sees the ball on the ground. It's a high chopper. He's thinking he can get there, and then, by the time he's 3/4 of the way home, he realizes he's in trouble. And so, again, it is a great the great thing about baseball is that we second guess it, and really all sports, but truly in baseball, you argue with your friends, you argue with your family members. Why'd they do this? They should have done this. In the moment, you've got one split second to make those decisions, and sometimes they work, and sometimes the other guys get paid too, as we like to say.
Matt, roll out the scenario where Chase DeLauder's on the field.
I think I would assume, it's going to be a situation where you want to take advantage of his athleticism, whether it's pinch running, maybe it's late game defense. We haven't seen him. I don't know, where he's at in terms of his level of ability to get in and compete in an at bat. I mean, we saw him in spring training. There was obviously a lot to like there. He's been hurt. He's been in and out of the lineup in AAA. So I don't know where he's at in terms of being able. I mean, I think it would be asking a lot to say, hey, jump in here in an at bat in the second game of the postseason when we haven't really seen him. I don't even know how many at bats he had all season long in AAA this year. So I don't know, Andy. It's a great question.
Just because I think there's some maybe that, hey, they've had luck all the time. Let's throw another one of these rookies out there and try to do it. Because, people were kicking around this morning about, well, why don't you start him? Why don't you just let him play? I'm like, ugh.
Andy, he's not Kyle Schwarber, but remember the World Series? It wasn't that long ago, and all of a sudden Kyle Schwarber, who hadn't played all season long, steps in on the World Series and becomes a hero. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that he could do that. I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
He had 149 plate appearances in AAA this year.
I mean, the whole season, what's crazy is the whole season's been a movie, Matt. It really has. And why not add the final chapter to it by throwing a guy out there that hasn't been up all year and give him the opportunity to win a playoff game to advance into the next series?
Well, and it's like we're having this conversation. It's fun. It's fun to kick it around and wonder and try to figure out what's going to happen, how it's going to play out. But it is a fool's errand to try and predict how this thing's going to play out, because none of us could have predicted the way this season has unrolled and unraveled and the way that this team turned it around, the most remarkable comeback in Major League Baseball history. So it's anybody's guess.
Well, Matt Underwood joining us. Obviously, we've already accomplished some history making it here, and now, based on the numbers of the 12 series prior, under this format, it's very unlikely that the Guardians would win. Make the case that they can once again accomplish some history here in the playoffs.
Well, I think for me, it's the fact that you get Tanner Bybee, you get the ace Tanner Bybee today. If Tanner Bybee goes out and pitches the way that we have seen him pitch, the way we have seen him pitch against Detroit in the past, then you're looking at a winner-take-all Game 3 on Thursday. I mean, that to me is the best-case scenario. Yes, they still have to score, even if he pitches great. I think they will. I think they have the ability to score enough to win. And if Bybee pitches great, then everybody pushes all their chips in on Thursday, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Bybee last year did have an ERA in the 4 playoff games. Of course, that second Yankee game, he only went 1 1/3, but it was 3.45, gave up a couple of home runs. But, at times I thought he had command, and I've loved what I've seen, really by this entire rotation down the stretch. They've been playing with playoff pressure, so I don't think that is what they're going to succumb to or anything like that. It's just you need some runs, and I need today to look drastically different than it looked like yesterday, because didn't it feel like, Matt, that place was tense? It's kind of quiet for a playoff crowd. It'd be nice for them to get off to an early start and change the whole dynamic of the series.
I think you're right. I think anytime you're facing a Tarek Skubal, think back over our collective histories in the game. When you have another team's ace on the mound, like Andy mentioned, Pedro Martinez, if it's Dwight Gooden, if it's Roger Clemens, when you're facing that guy, you better button it up and play really clean. And to literally hand them a first inning run, I think it did put maybe the fans on the edge of their seats early, like, oh no, we can't afford to do this. And I thought Gavin did everything humanly possible to give them an opportunity to win, and they just weren't able to back them up yesterday, and that happens sometimes. So today it's up to Tanner Bybee to go out and basically, do the same thing Gavin did, which he's capable of doing against this lineup. He knows them. He's competed well against them. You can make the case on the other side that familiarity, they're not going to be any mysteries, so maybe that gives the Tigers hitters a little bit of a leg up. But then we saw what Skubal did to a lineup that has seen him a lot in the last couple of weeks. So I think the edge goes to Tanner as long as he executes. If he does that, they'll be in a really good position.
Matt, last question for me. What are you doing at first base? Who would you like to see start? I'm not saying just who would you like to see start at first base today?
Well, again, Andy, I think the way he's played his lineups. I think with Casey Mize on the mound, you would assume that you're going to see C.J. Kafis at first base.
Mm-hmm.
He's good defensively there. He's a left-handed bat, and then we'll see what he decides to do in right field. But that would be my guess. It could be Manzardo. I mean, he's been riding Kyle Manzardo a lot in down the stretch here. But I think he's definitely a better defender. Not as good with the bat, but I think they're both going to be in there today. So I think you would probably see C.J. Kafis at first base.
I kind of like just the whole aura around C.J. and the way he's been able to fit in with a team that he wasn't with for the majority of the season, and I just think he's been such an important role to this team. I really like watching that kid play.
Low heartbeat guy, and those guys are sometimes. I think back to Lonnie Chisnall. Sometimes those guys are the ones that are dangerous in the postseason because they don't get too ramped up. They don't seem overly impressed by all of the trappings of the postseason, and maybe he's the perfect guy to step in there and be a difference maker today.
All right, Matt. We feeling good about Jose after the mistake yesterday, what turned out to be a mistake? We feeling like he could bounce back in a big way?
Yeah, because, Anthony, it's like any sport. You've got to take chances sometimes, and at the end of the day, it's not a good look because he got stuck and he was out by a mile, and that's obviously tough to swallow when you're talking about the tying run in the ninth inning. But it's like in sports. Sometimes you blitz at the wrong time, and they read the blitz and they burn you for a long one. You've got to take chances. You could see his read off the bat was it's a high chopper. I can get home, and it just wasn't as high as he anticipated. Invest made a quick throw and made a good play. So I never doubt Jose. Jose's confidence is never. There are times where he maybe isn't feeling quite as great, but I've never seen him down. I've never seen him, walking around with his head down and sulking. So I'm sure he was mad. He probably thought about it a little bit last night, and then he'll come today ready to go.
Matt Underwood, Guardians TV, terrific job all year, and hopefully this is the last opportunity to get a chance to talk to you about the playoffs.
All right, guys. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
See you guys.
Matt Underwood, Guardians TV.